Hello and welcome to the City of Sydney's Reboot webinar series. My name is Kate Pearden and once again I am your host for this special series. Now before we begin our session today, I'd like to acknowledge and pay respects to traditional owners of the land on which each of us meet. As we share knowledge and learnings today, may we also pay respect to the knowledge embedded forever with the Aboriginal custodianship of country. Now, for the people that have joined before, you'll know that this series of webinars, it's focused on practical, actionable insights to help businesses thrive across these three key phases of business: run, grow, and adapt. And today's session goes on all of those. If you are an old hand at this, you'll know Reboot was originally developed to support local businesses in the aftermath of the 2020 COVID-19 lockdown. I know, don't talk about it, it's been 5 years, but we're now in our fifth iteration. So Reboot 2025 is presented in two blocks. We've already done our first one. We're in our second block of 5 webinars, and this is the third one. So if this is your first one today, you've still got next week and the week after to really make the most of these sessions. We always have a guest speaker. Today, we're really fortunate to have Simon Hillier to join us, and we'll go through some training, case studies, and tips that you can immediately apply, which means have your phone, pen and paper, something ready to take notes because you are going to take so much from this session. A big thank you to the City of Sydney for proudly supporting this session and also New South Wales Business Bureau. We'll pop a link in the chat to let you know about how you can find out more about Business Bureau and how they can provide you with free, independent, tailored business advice. So this is what you can expect for the next hour. Simon's going to be sharing a presentation for about 15-20 minutes and some case studies for another 10 minutes, and then we'll be closing with 15 minutes of questions. So you will notice that there is a webinar chat and there is a Q&A box, two different things. The chat box is where you can just comment along the way, particularly if you like something. But if you've got a question, please put it in the Q&A, which is at the bottom, because then at the end I can find those and I can ask Simon the questions, particularly the ones that are most popular. As I've said, we've got about 3,000 people signed up, so I'll be picking the questions that have the most impact. Now, you will not get the PowerPoint after this session. So if something really catches your eye and there's going to be heaps in this session, grab your phone. We're going to get you to take a photo of it, or you can do a screen grab. Simon will tell you how you can upload that into some of your great AI tools and then pull all the data from it. So pen and paper ready, or wherever you're taking notes, have your phone ready. And you will get a session recording that will land in your inbox on Thursday. Okay, that was a lot of information. A quick plug for next week before we get into today. We've had to change the session for next week. We're still focusing on sales, but it's no longer sales techniques. It's about how to nail your pricing. So still in this sales realm, we have a wonderful presenter, Fee Johnson from Peach Business. We're talking about how to really position yourself and your business with your prices, and a great tool with that. So you'll notice webinar admin, which is our wonderful Cynthia, has popped in the link. You can join for that. All right, let me tell you about the wonderful Simon. Simon has more than 27 years experience as a digital content and AI writing marketing business specialist, and 8 years with e-commerce trailblazers, travel.com and lastminute.com, where his newsletters were read by more than 500,000 subscribers. He's done almost 20 years running his own business, so he is a small business owner. But he's also worked with really global brands such as Microsoft, Salesforce, Canva, Telstra, ING, Westpac, Australian and international companies. He's been featured all over the world in different publications and has really got this knack for AI. We were talking about, when did you start using AI? Like, this last 3 years, it has just taken off in accessibility. So I can't wait to hear, Simon, about what you've curated for us, because I'm sure a lot of people like me feel like there's so much to AI. Where do I even start? Please help us.
Sometimes ask that question myself. Where do I say? There's a lot. All right. Are we ready to get going?
Let's go.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you, Kate, for that lovely introduction. And hi, everyone. Delighted to be here with you. There's so much to get. I get very excited about AI, so Kate's probably going to have to pull me
I'm going to have to
back
rein
in.
you in.
Yeah. So anyway, let's get going because time is short. But yeah, get your cameras ready or get your screen, and I'll tell you where to do the screen grabs. We've got prompts and all kinds of things for you. So this is the kind of agenda I just want to first start off just a little bit about what ChatGPT and these models are, so you understand what they're good at and what they're perhaps not so good for. Some tools here. So I came up with four that I think will help you on the free front that you can get paid ones for, but we'll go through. I think they'll be very helpful for you. There's many more, of course. Also, the myths and the realities, the privacy, because we know that that's a big thing as well. The thing everyone loves is the prompting thing. So I've got a few good prompts for you as well, which we'll go through, and then a couple of case studies at the end. We're going to have a look at how a couple of businesses that I work with, or variations of, because some of them they want to be private, are using AI and things that you can do too. Okay, so we're going to start off with a quick poll because we want to understand where all of these 3,000 people are in their AI game. So I think you're going to put something up, Kate.
Yes, one moment. So that's launched now. Give us a vote.
So
How often do
really,
you use
yeah.
AI?
It's just simple thing, really, to get an idea. Are you completely new to it? Have you been doing a few things here and there? Use it regularly for work, or are you obsessed like me? Are you right on there, D? So A, B, C, or D? It'd be great to just get a bit of an idea.
Amazing. We've got 60% voted. We'll leave it open for another 10 seconds. I've noticed
Okay.
a couple of people have popped their hand up because we have so many on here. We can't answer questions that way. So either um, put it in the Q&A if you've got a question. I can see a few people are putting their answers in the chat box. You'll see a pop-up has come up on your screen and you can vote that way.
Okay. Interesting mix. I can.
Wonderful. Thank you. If you haven't, for a couple of people, that might not be a pop-up. Okay. Thanks for letting me know. I'll have a look into that. We'll still get a good idea of where we're at. All right. 5 more seconds. 5, 4,
Huh,
3, 2, 1. All right. End poll.
great.
All right. Sharing the results here.
Okay. Interesting. That's great. Okay, so we've got some newbies. Welcome, newbies. Don't be afraid. I'm not a technical person, and I now teach people this. So we'll take you through very gently in the short time we have. A lot of people have been doing a few things, few dad jokes, few emails, things like that. We've got a lot, obviously, who are using it regularly for work and personal tasks. That's great. I don't know if you saw there was a ChatGPT survey that came out that said that 70% of people are using it for personal, even more than work,
Really?
which is interesting. So
I
all
think
kinds of stuff.
sometimes we don't know what we can use it for work, which is why people are coming to
Yeah,
your session. I'm really surprised that
yeah.
that 56% have said it's a helpful tool I use regularly. I suppose it's a selection bias. That's why you come to this session, right?
Exactly, absolutely. And we got 19% who are in the cult. Yes, I'm with you. Okay. Good to see you all here. Okay, so obviously with that mix, one of the things we have to do is cater for sort of all of those newbies as well. So some of you who are right in there, hopefully we'll be able to teach you some things still today. But I was interested to see this came out from the Department of Industry and Sciences and how people are using them. Obviously, bigger companies are using AI at the moment for business stuff a lot more than smaller businesses. And there was also some things on where people think will get the best outcomes, and that a lot of things around things like marketing, customer experience, more accurate data, and where they think perhaps the purple is where they don't know whether it's going to increase things or increase, I guess, performance and engagement and experiences. One of the things around this, I think, is that people, as Kate just said, don't know what's possible with this and don't know about all the tools and the features. While we can't get through all of those today, but we can definitely give you some ideas here and show you some things that you can use, and I would encourage you to explore. But I'll also give you a little thing at the end of if you're new into this, on the best way to kind of approach it and get in. So what is ChatGPT and Gemini and some of the other models that some of you may know? Well, it's generative AI, which is the AI that generates new things. So the simple way to think about it is that it predicts. So it's got a ton of information in there, and most of the internet and a whole lot of other sources. And so based on what you put in, it's trying to predict what you want out of that. So what that means is it's not actually just taking something and then giving you the response, it's predicting, and it's doing it very accurately, but this is where it can also make mistakes. It's also why you sometimes get very cliched answers, is because it's trying to be a people pleaser. So it's saying, what are most people, what would they want for something like this? What would the result be? But you obviously want something a bit unique and different. So there's some ways around that, and that's to tell it, I don't want the usual answer. I want something a bit different. It's creating. The great thing is that it's a chat bot. You just type in like we're on a keyboard and we get these responses. We don't have to know coding and development and all that kind of stuff. So it makes it very easy for all of us to use. And this is why it's taken off and is the fastest growing product in history. And the other thing is it learns. So it learns from our things that we put into it. So this is why we also have to be very careful about what we put into it. So we don't put anything confidential in there, because it'll go back into the training to help it learn more and more. So if you're using public versions of these tools, just be very careful about what you put in. Don't put anything in that you wouldn't want anywhere else on the internet. It has been a very busy couple of years, as Kate just mentioned. If any of you are using ChatGPT or any of these models around end of 2022 and 2023, it's come a long way. It had about 25% of the internet on it available as training then, and it only knew information up to about September 21. And it didn't have access to the internet. So there was a lot of big gap there about what it knew. So it used to make up a lot of stuff. The great thing about doing all this stuff now is you've got this brand new model called GPT-5. Don't worry about all those acronyms, just understand that it's a newer one. It's trained up to about the middle of last year with tons of stuff from the internet, probably 80% of it. But it can also go off to the web and search, and it can also search through your documents. And it does it now very, very accurately. So it makes up stuff about half as much as it used to. So that's a great thing for all of us. So we still have to watch what we're doing, but it is a great thing. And the other thing that's there, if you can see that graph I put, is it used to only remember in a conversation about 4,000 words, the very early ones. So if you ever did anything more than 4,000 words, you might find it started to lose the plot a bit after that and go off on all kinds of tangents. Now, 190,000 words in a conversation, its words and yours. So you could almost write a book in there and it'd still remember everything in that whole conversation. So excellent tool to be playing around with now. So my first free model for you, no surprise, is ChatGPT. And the reason I've put this in here is because it is the all-rounder. If you want to get one tool, this is probably the one to try for most business people, because it does a ton of different things. So obviously you can write an email or write a letter. A lot of you would have done that. The other thing it's good at is it's got good image generation, but it's got very, very good image generation if you want to put text over the top. So I just made this up. Don't go to the Opera House next year. Fatboy Slim will not be there. And don't go trying to buy tickets. So I just found an image of Fatboy Slim, tied it in with some prompting and created this thing. So it's not obviously a final version, but as a creative concept to give to a designer or something, could be very handy for your business. And you could probably put something like this up onto social media and it'd be fine. The other one here, which is the one I'm talking about also today for you guys to start doing, is this is a session I ran and I couldn't read all the doctor's writing that was on the board. So I took a photo, uploaded it to ChatGPT, just straight into the uploads, and said, can you just extract all the text from this and put them into a table? And so it did that for me. So what you can do today is, well, with your phone or with a screen grab, when I show you the prompts, you can do that, and then you can just paste it into ChatGPT and say, extract all the text out of this prompt, and it'll put it into ChatGPT for you. Very, very simple to do. The last one I've got here is if you have the app of ChatGPT, and Gemini does this as well, so some of the others, you can actually, this is a video I did, you could go and see this on YouTube, just type in that headline there. And it was me talking to a page from JB Hi-Fi, looking at one of their products. I got it to go through, have a look, and ChatGPT is talking back to me going, yeah, I can see the features, I can see this. And then I showed them that. Then I actually went and showed them all the feedback and the reviews from customers. Got it to go through and have a look at where the pain points were, where the problems were, the things people liked, and then to rewrite the copy. So it's amazing you can do these sort of things now. So just with your phone, you can actually show it on your camera, and it'll look through and can come back and give you some answers. So have a look at that and think about some possible ways you could use it. The other big thing about ChatGPT I think is really valuable is the custom GPTs. So even on the free model, down here you can see it says GPTs on that left-hand column. You can go in there and use them. So what these are like little tiny ChatGPTs that people have created for specific problems and specific needs. So you'll see ChatGPT down here have created one for even writing coach, to analyze data, all kinds of things. But there's thousands of them in there. And so I've created a few in here. So this is one that ChatGPT created. So you could upload spreadsheets and things like that and then analyze them. This is one I created, which is just for doing market research. So I've put all these instructions in. Here's what I want you to do. Here's the kind of things I want you to find. And so I just type in a thing saying, hey, go and do research for me on the, I don't know, guitar industry or something. And it'll go off and do it and come back with a report without having to put a whole lot of information in. And this was one I created for a client, which was they wanted to see whether contracts that they were getting match the standard contracts. And so it was specifically created for that and saves them a lot of time. So you can't create GPTs on the free one, but you can use them. If you decided to go to the paid version, you could create your own. So this is one I created for a fictional sort of leisure and corporate travel business. So this would be their audience segment, Emily. It sort of reflects her. And so I created this tool, uploaded some information about her and a tone of voice guide. And so I can just go in now into this tool and say, write me a Facebook post about Paris on Bastille Day. It understands that she's a corporate traveler. It understands the tone of voice. And so all of the prompt, the response that comes out reflects exactly the information that would be of interest to their audience. So this is the way you use these. It can save you a lot of time. So it might be something of interest to you. So the second one was Google Gemini. So that's a competitor to ChatGPT. And they've really come a long way especially in the last few months. So if you want to do a lot of deep research and you want to use a free model, this is the one to use. It's excellent for that. I'll show you an example in a moment. Really good image creation. And I've got a little case study at the end. I'm going to show you how you use Gemini. So we won't get too much into this now, but the other benefits of it is that you can integrate it on the paid version with Google. So you could drop things into Google Docs or your Gmail or your Google Drive and Excel through Google Sheets and things like that. So it all works together, and it's a great little network if you're on the Google kind of platform of business products. Okay. So the third one is another Google one. So we'll come back to Gemini. I'll show you how that works in the case study. Is this one called Google Notebook. This is one of the best tools out there in the AI world. So in this thing here, it's like a summarizer. So you can upload up to 50 documents of 200 megabytes each. That's like 10 gigs, and then analyze them. So you could all these research documents and get it to analyze it, and it'll do it really, really accurately. You can also upload text files, videos, all kinds of things, and get it to kind of analyze this for you. And so it's all private, so nothing goes out. Google occasionally have people who will come in and check the things and see how things are going, but nothing's going to go out. So you can create guides and checklists, and we'll see, you can even turn it into a podcast or a video presentation for you. And as I said, there's a free version and a paid version. So let's have a look at an example of this. So this was for, let's say it's for a yoga school, okay? And you need to do some research. So what I've done is uploaded a Harvard research study, a couple of other ones, a YouTube video link, and a podcast, so an audio file as well. And this prompt down the bottom, want me to scroll in here? This is probably a good one if you want to screen grab that now. If you've got a second. And you can just adapt something like this just to give you an idea. Okay, that's it. You can probably watch the video again and get that if you need to. So I'm just going to show you, this is what I put that prompt in here, and this is just at double speed of how well this researched this. So it goes through and looks, so it's gone through all the research, it's written that blog, and it's also given me the Instagram captions here as well, all
And
in that
Simon, I
time.
can't hear that if that's an audio you're sharing at the
Nothing
computer.
audio at the moment.
Correct.
Yep. So it's just the visual. So now it's going off and doing it also does mind maps for you. And it can also do the audio thing. And you can see here, I'll scroll over and see this is, I'm looking at, this showing me the sources where it's getting things from those 5 things. So it shows me exactly where it got all the information. So you could do this with a 100-page document, really handy. So now I'm going to show you something with some audio. So what it's done is created an audio summary and turned it into a podcast. So let's have a listen and see, hopefully.
Beyond
Hear
maybe
that?
looking good in leggings or finally nailing that handstand, how much do we really know about what yoga does for us? Is it just a trend, or is there something, I don't know, more profound happening under the surface?
Well, that's a fantastic question, because what's truly
Can't change the
fascinating here
accents.
is how
In case
modern
that's a question.
science is really catching up to this ancient wisdom.
Right.
For centuries, practitioners have talked about yoga's deep impacts, and it turns out a lot of these claims, they're actually being supported by some pretty rigorous study now.
Okay.
We've got a stack of reputable research to look at today, including some really impressive studies from places like Harvard, comprehensive meta-analyses that helps us cut through the hype a bit.
Understand the tangible, evidence-backed ways yoga impacts both your body and, importantly, your mind.
Exactly.
Wow, what a deep dive indeed. We've covered such a breadth of benefits today.
All right. So yes, they created, it's amazing. Created that whole podcast, wrote it, put those 2 voices on, and I did cut it a bit for you. So it was a 20-minute podcast. So you could, in fact, if you wanted to, you could probably take it to yoga class and sit it in and listen to it while you're doing it. But yeah, if you've got long pieces of content, great way to load it all up, get the audio thing and have it do that for you. You can also, as I mentioned, do a video version. So I'll actually do a slideshow version of your presentation or of your information for you to watch as well. So really handy little tool. And yes, as I said, it's free to use.
Beyond...
Whoop, go away. Okay, there we go. So my last one is a tool called Gamma, the quick, slick alternative to PowerPoint. So some of you may be using Copilot and things like that, and you could do it in there. But this one here is great if you perhaps want to do something very quickly, or you don't have that access to those tools. It can create websites, social media carousels, but I think the main thing is the presentations. So let me just show you how this would work too. You could go into ChatGPT or one of the other tools and say, create me a slideshow on a topic. And so it'll do slides and then give you some bullet points and set it all out nicely for you. Or you could create your own. You don't have to do everything on AI. And then what you do is you go to this tool, and let me just show you, this is about 2.5 times the speed of how it happens. So you go in there, you paste in your content that you might have for your slides, you click a couple of buttons, and you choose a design. Really simple to do. Anyone could. Then you hit generate. And voila. Creates this presentation for you. It'll put in images, all kinds of things. And so there you go. And you can present this here. You could download it. You could actually put it into a PowerPoint and then change it into your own branding. Very handy, very quick thing. And people seem to love this one. So get in there. And again, free to try out. Once you've used up a few credits, you have to do it, but you can definitely get enough out of there to give that one a go. Okay, so exciting, lots of AI tools, but just to bring us back to earth a bit, we've got to think about the way, because it is that prediction machine, it doesn't always do things completely accurately. So this is why we need to think about certain things, and there's ways we can sort of reduce its chances of making things up. So that's what a hallucination is, when it makes things up. So it might be a gap in the knowledge, might have sort of incorrect information, but being a people pleaser, it's going to try and give you an answer. So what we can say is things like, if it's using a document to give you responses, did you add or invent any details? Now, you'd think, well, isn't it going to lie? It's actually very good at doing self-analysis and improving things. Or which parts of your answer, might be uncertain or speculative. It's very good at doing this sort of stuff. Misinformation is when it's repeating myths, and surprise, surprise, there is stuff on the internet that's not true. And so
Oh,
it will go,
Simon.
I know, I hate to break it to everyone. So it might find some of that and think, oh, that's true, and put it in there. Okay. So people are doing these naughty things these days. So you can put in some follow-up prompts here. So this might be a good page for you to screen grab as well. Grab these three, and then you've got some prompts here. List the sources. If it's going online, tell me where you found this. Make sure it goes back, and sometimes it'll go, oh, okay, sorry, I don't know where I found that. It was old. Just giving it a bit of a, making sure it's doing the right thing by you. And then biases are when it could be something like, give me an image of 5 firemen and it's all men, or 5 nurses and it's all women. So that sort of stuff's improving now as more and more people are using it and saying, no, I don't just want 5 women as nurses. Let's see a correct reflection of who is a nurse these days. And so you can actually say things like, is there unintentionally excluding or stereotyping any groups? Does this summary reflect biases or assumptions? And it'll go through and come back with a pretty good response. So that's a good way to just make sure that it's giving you the right things, and worth doing after some of your prompts, prompts and inquiries. Okay, speaking of prompts, how are we going for time, Kate? We're all right?
We've got about 13 minutes left.
Beautiful. Okay. So
before Q&A, I should say, and which
before
Q&A is blowing up. Just very quickly, we can't
Okay.
respond to the raised hands. I know there's some questions going in the chat. Please pop them in the Q&A just so we can see them together. As I've said, we've got 3,000 signed up for this. So there's a lot to get through, a lot of questions, but we will do our best. So I will be popping down the hands when they come up, but that's where you can get access to us.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, so think about this. If someone said to you, hey, can you just write me an article on food? Okay, see you in about 3 hours, bye. You've got a lot of questions, right? You're going to be laying, what sort of food? Who's it for? How long? All of these things. That's exactly what you need to give to AI, a good brief. It's like anyone who you deal with in business, you need some things answered, you need a good brief. So instead of doing this, write an article about food, and then you get this very AI writing about tapestries and all over the place, doesn't really help you with anything. You want to give it a bit more detail. So I'll sort of break this down for you quickly, is if you give it a role, act as, so a blog copywriter and a family cooking expert, it thinks more about what it knows of those two things. And it knows a lot about that. It knows a lot about blog copywriting, knows a lot about family cooking and things like that. A 400-word how-to guide for busy parents. So you've got an audience, the kind of style you want to do, looking to prepare healthy meals for their families. Easy to follow instructions to help parents overcome common challenges like time constraints and picky eaters. So you're talking also about a problem that they've got, which can be very helpful. Get a new unique angle. And then also just throwing in things like be novel, creative, inspiring, and fun. I don't want bacon and eggs, I don't want, or whatever. I want a few different things. And look, these aren't exactly, hugely different, but you'll see that the article itself is far different than the one we just saw, and it's focusing very much on that audience's needs, and it's broken down in the way that would be helpful for them. So giving it a good brief can really make a difference. Okay, so this is definitely one to screen grab. This is a whole lot of prompts I've put together for a range of roles of different people in small businesses. If yours is not there, I apologize. You can adapt these. But the idea here, a role telling not only who you are, say an accountant, specializing supporting small businesses with tax, compliance and finance. So getting quite specific. Here's what I want you to do. I'll leave it at that one so you can screen grab the whole thing. Draft a LinkedIn post, etc. And you may even have throw in some examples like this. You don't have to do that, but it just guides it a little bit. Use UK English spelling, so don't get that American spelling. Keep it practical, avoid corporate cliches. And you'll know they're slightly different, each of these. So some of them might be a bit more excitable, some of the language and the way you talk, but obviously some are going to be a little more conservative. So hopefully you've had a chance to grab those. So yeah, play around with those, tweak them to your heart's content, and hopefully they'll help a bit in terms of getting you better responses. Another one for you to try. So definitely paste copy this one. All you do is change the things in yellow. So I run a X business, and here's some of the things I do. It may not be marketing, sales, and productivity, might be quite different. And why hasn't any X, whatever I do, ever thought of this before? So I'm getting you some practical ideas and some surprising ideas, and these are the kind of things that have come out of this. So obviously some quite practical ones, and also the hidden gem cafe trails, and using AI to create a 360-degree online walkthrough. So it'll come up with some fun ideas for you to put in your list. Some of them may not be practical at all, but that's the whole idea. I just wanted to think about, give me some practical ones, but also a little bit out there ones. Okay. All right. So how are we going, Kate? Got a few minutes?
You got 8 minutes for your case studies.
Beautiful. Okay. So I hope that was all right. If you're not, you've got the replay, you can go back and grab that one again. So just to show you a couple of businesses. So this is a business broker that I've been doing some work with, and they've really put AI to good use for a quite intensive piece of tasks that they have. So they help sell and buy businesses for mid-sized businesses. And so one of the big things they'd have to do is they go off and they talk to the business for hours, do a lot of research and interviews, and then they have to distill all this information and put it into an information memorandum to then go out to, hopefully find a buyer. And so it's very important, though, because there's so much detail in there, that it's accurate and compliant and secure. So, but it is a kind of a repetitive thing that they do, even though every business is unique. A lot of it is similar in terms of the process. So what we did was we looked at the Notebook LM. And so they're uploading dozens of sources of information with all of these things here. So what we did was created some very detailed and quite advanced prompts that they use now to go through the process. And so what their team members do, they can take those, put all the documents in there, go through this process, and at each step, make sure it's all right and it all looks good, and put together this information memorandum draft. And then the final approval, they look at it at each section, and then the director of the business or one of the directors does the final approval. And then they take it into ChatGPT to do the sort of final documentation. Now, how has this helped them? So basically, it's really helped. We went through and tested it on 3 previous ones to make sure it was getting information accurate. So you need to do those sort of things. But it's really sped up the whole process all the way through. And now what was taking 3 weeks is now taking 2.5 days. So they're saving all this time. So what's the staff doing? The staff's able to go out and look at building business and business development rather than taking so much time going through a lot of these really the rigorous, meticulous stages, but still being very careful to make sure that everything is right in there. So that's one. The other one was actually a dance studio, but I used this one, created this one, Exhale Yoga. I don't know if there's an Exhale Yoga around in Sydney, it probably is. But the challenges are the same. So the instructors had to also do all the marketing. I imagine that's for a lot of you, that's probably the same. It's not your key thing, but you got to do that. Little time to do it. Things were stagnating because they're trying to just run the business. And so AI was helping them with a few different things, and it had a great lift in their memberships and also their social engagement. So how did they do it? Well, the main thing was to start with Google Gemini. So this was sort of all done in Google. I'll just scroll in here so you can see. So in there, they've got this deep research product that you can use for free, as I mentioned. And I just put this little prompt in here, if you wanted to grab that. And then it comes down here, click research, and it's gone and done this very, very comprehensive analysis. Now, you need to check this. You need to obviously oversee. You can't just say, well, that sounds great, I'll take that. But it's a great start for you, and it'll go off and research dozens and dozens of sites. It's come back with some competitor profiles. Over here, it's got some personas, so some potential audiences for their business, the aspirational wellness seeker and so on. Then it's gone down and done some pricing structure. So it's actually looked at some competitive pricing. Now, you do definitely need to go and make sure that these are correct and accurate. And then what it's also done is it's come up with a summary of the different sort of customer segments and what they like and what delights them and what annoys them. And then the last thing is, so this is probably about a 10-page, 20-page report, shows you all the sources it's gone to get all this information. So a lot of the competitors, really fantastic tool. Then you can click, where is it up here? Export. And you can click straight into Google Docs. There's your report, there's your works, give that to your boss, unless you're the boss, and say, hey, I did this, took me months, give me a raise. And you have this great report. Then you can do a follow-up prompt, which is, give me some more detailed information about these personas. So this is a great little prompt I like to use to learn more about your audience. And so then it's gone into and created some personas around those three audiences we had. We've got Isabella and Alex and Chloe as our three different audiences. And the reason this helps you is that then you can start doing things around. So I've asked it to do you're a small business marketing consultant. So that's the second prompt. I want you to create a marketing plan based around our personas. And so here's some things I want you to do. So take a screen grab of that one as well. And that one there would turn into, here's my marketing thing over here. You can go back and have a look at this, so it's a bit quick. And then I've asked it to, here's the content calendar, put that in just so you can see it. That's how it would come out in the Google Doc, in the Google Sheet. So we can see it's come up with some ideas for content. Now, you obviously would need to tweak these. You can't accept these as the final one, but, it can really speed up some of that thing if marketing's taking up a lot of your time. And there's this one here, which is the hum one. So I thought, why we hum? Let's have a little look at that. And so I've asked it as a copywriter to give me 3 Instagram posts around why we hum, around that topic, and connect with one of our personas. There's some things there you can grab. If you can go back and have a look later if you want to grab that again and if you didn't get time. And so it's come up with some Instagram posts around this topic. So there's 1, there's 2, and then there's a 3rd one, and also give me an image description as well around that. So yeah, these will just get you, that first draft, second draft, and really save you some time. The other great thing about it is that then you can take these descriptions. I've changed this a little bit, and you'll see here, I just pasted that in, made a few little changes, and we've got, and see that this is the quality of the images now in Google. You can get Google Gemini for free. So really good quality images. This one over here was one of the other ones from the other prompt that was back here, this one here. It created this one here, and the really great thing about this new thing called Nano Banana, which is their tool, is you can say, hey, can you just change that to pink? And look at that, it's changed it to pink. And even the steam coming out of the tea is exactly the same. So nothing else changes. So you could upload an image, something you've got, create an image, but put a new product in there or change the product to a different color. Really good. You could also do logos if you wanted to, or some ideas for logos for your yoga school or whatever it is you're going to create. And this is a real fun one. You can create videos. So very short but interesting video. So I just show you this one I created here with a little prompt like this.
Exhale, yoga school. Let the calm times roll.
So yeah, little fun things. That was just with one prompt. You obviously improve it, or something like this. Get a bit more creative.
Breathe life into the space around you.
And I'm no creative director. I can see so this has all been with a little prompt. So anyway, we've probably only got a couple of minutes left, have we, Kate?
Yeah, we've got 20 left ready for Q&A.
Okay.
So
all
I
right.
know there's a couple of things you want to wrap up with before we get into the Q&A, and we have a lot of Q&A.
Okay, excellent.
We'll do our best.
Yeah, absolutely. So the three things out of that I think that you should think about when you're starting out is, so choose, I've shown you a few and there's so many tools, choose one main tool. So ChatGPT, there's Gemini, there's Claude, we've talked about. So I think ChatGPT or Gemini are a really great place for people to start and just explore, practice the prompts, try some of the features, and then move on to the others, because it can feel like you're falling behind, but you're not. Just get one done right. Ask AI how it can help. So list down some things that are challenges, time consuming, all of these things in your business, things you're not an expert at, and go in and say, hey, can you help me with this? And it's pretty good now. It'll come back with some ideas on how it can do that. And the other thing I think is important is for a business is to consider one of the paid versions. I mean, it's only $20, 20 US a month. But if you can use it to do some of those things, weigh it up against the time it takes you and where you could be better spending your time, and think, is this worth it? So you may want to do ChatGPT, or you may want to use Gemini, things like that research. Pretty amazing. So that's the three things I just wanted to get out. Okay, Q&A.
Great. Okay. So we're going to jump into Q&A, and I've done my best to try and collate some of these questions. We're also going to put 2 links in the chat. Make sure you put in your questions in the Q&A box, because we've got so many people in this webinar, it's hard to keep up with everything. So at the bottom it says Q&A, and I'll do my best to try and grab them all together. And a quick plug for our next week's session on how to nail your pricing. We're going to pop a link in the chat now so you can sign up for that. And also a link for your feedback on this webinar. We'd love to get your feedback on what's hitting the mark and what is not. I've done my best to monitor the chat. Obviously with 1,000 people, it's a bit tough. We'll work on that more for next time. Okay, let's get into Q&A. So Simon, I'll get you to minimize your screen there so they can see your lovely face. And let's get into our Q&A. So, not minimize, stop sharing.
Stop share. Okay, yeah. So right, stop.
If you're looking for
stop and
those,
share.
well, Simon's doing that. If you're looking for those links for next week's session and also for our feedback form, you'll see webinar admin, which is the lovely Cynthia, who we're popping those in probably several times in the chat because we're getting so many comments. Okay, Simon, lots of questions around privacy.
Yes.
Around ChatGPT versus Copilot. I know some of the law firms are using Copilot because of different privacy. If you put something in ChatGPT, is it public? Can everyone see it? All those sorts of questions. So I'm just going to gather that together and hand it to you.
Okay, great. No, very good question and very important. So yes, if you have Copilot as a corporate version of that, not just the web version, that you get for free, then you are in a secure environment. So you're definitely in a safe environment. So you can upload things and it doesn't go back into the training. Okay. But it has to be that version. It has to be a corporate version, business version. You have to just make sure you don't want to just if you use the public one, Copilot, you're just basically using ChatGPT, and it will go back into the training. Okay, because those of you, not sure if everyone understands that Copilot sits on ChatGPT. That's the engine behind it.
I did not know that.
Yeah, so you're using the same one, the same tool, but they stop it going back into the training. Now, if you're on ChatGPT, whether you're on the free version or the paid version, the information will go back into training, okay? But there is a version of ChatGPT called Teams, and it's a fairly affordable if you've got a couple of people. So it's a little bit more. Per month, it's 30 US per person, and you need 2 licenses. Okay, so that would mean 60 US. So it's going to cost you $100 a month, but that's a completely secure environment. So you could upload all your documents there. You could upload anything you want in conversations, and you'll know that it's secure. So if you want to use ChatGPT and you want all the bells and whistles from there, that would be the best way to go if you're going to upload confidential information. The other way around it is to anonymize some of your information, to not say, so to use Exhale Yoga School if you're not the Exhale Yoga School, things like that, and not give names. But if you want to go on a bit of a deep dive, then That's the only version of ChatGPT that you can use that's completely secure. Even though you can turn off your training, you can say to ChatGPT, turn it off in the paid version, in the paid public version. I don't trust that. I just don't know, where it's going. So I would, if it's that important to you, I'd pay the extra, $10, $20 a month and make sure that it's secure.
I know it also comes into like patient-client confidentiality, what information goes in.
Yeah,
And I think
absolutely.
it's that self-responsibility to be aware of it, and perhaps anonymize it.
Yeah, assume that it'll go in there if it's not
Yes.
in one of those things, because what are they going to say? They'll say, "Oh, sorry," like all the big companies tend to do these days. Sorry, we released all your information.
Yep.
Uh, that's the end of it, really.
Yes.
Yeah.
I had a lot of questions that I'm going to bundle together around copyright of images,
Mm.
copyright for people, for example, that are photographers. Is their information going to get used and then repurposed through AI? And copyright for text, so like university assignments, or if
Mm.
you just cut and paste something that's come out through AI, is that considered a copyright issue?
No, if it's coming out of the text specifically, if it's coming out of AI, it's original generated information. So if everyone in this room, we all said, write me a two-line sentence on, starting a yoga school, we're pretty much all going to get different answers because there's so many different variations there. So it's an original piece. So there won't be copyright there. If you said something like, write me a Shakespearean novel or a Shakespearean book or something, and then that might, because it's emulating his style, and so he's got to be there. You got to be careful there. And there's the same thing with images. So if you're creating an AI image, you can create that and it's yours, as long as it's not like a Coca-Cola thing or something like that. Then it's not yours. But it's not copyright to you. That's the thing. So you don't own that image. So if it's a copyright, so if you're creating these images, then that's not going to be yours to copyright. You can't copyright that as an original image. There is obviously the concern around the images. I think that's another thing too. If you are creative, that obviously there's a bit of an ethical thing around this, because the way they can create the images is that they've taken thousands and thousands of images to learn how to say for a dog. There's thousands of Labrador images that have gone through, and that's people's photos that have been taken, some of them professional. And it was all fine when they were research companies. And then they've gone commercial, and they said, you know what we'll do? We'll just take all of this stuff they gave us as a research company, and we'll put it into creating these new amazing image tools. So there is a bit of an ethical thing around. I imagine it's going to end up being some way a bit like Spotify, where they'll start having to pay, and there's lots of court cases going on. So it's a very interesting time for the images at the moment. Yeah.
Great. There's a couple of questions about what tool do you recommend for this, or what tool do you recommend for that? And because we've got so many, it's a bit hard to ask those specific questions. And there's also ones about, what about using AI for repetitive work like courier bookings, bookkeeping jobs? And I wonder if these are your custom GPTs. Like, what are your thoughts about
Yeah.
those topics? Like, which tool do you choose?
Okay. So look, it's very hard to sort of choose one. I think in that one of those slides there I gave with the paid version, I mentioned about, ChatGPT is very good for strategy and things like that. If writing's a big thing for you and not much of a writer, there's one called Claude, which is excellent for
There's a few
writing.
questions about that in the Q&A about Claude.
Yeah.
Would you recommend Claude? And I know we had to cut it out due to time.
Yeah, absolutely. So look, I think the reason I didn't put Claude in is because it doesn't have image generation. There's a few other things. It's very good for coding. It does now have access to the web, and you can link into your system. So it is an excellent tool. I use it for a lot of deep diving when I'm just going down the robot hole, I call it. And sort of, Claude's a great little copywriting partner and things like that. But I felt for today's session, for an all-rounder, Gemini, because so much of it's free, and you get in a conversation, you get like we talked about ChatGPT with 190,000 words. In Gemini, in a conversation, you can do almost 1 million words. So it's pretty amazing. So they're the two I'd probably go for. But if you're looking to expand into more specialist ones, then I'd talk about, Claude is great, a great one to explore. Get these two right first if you're new, but if you're getting more advanced, then Claude is a favor as well. I use them all. I don't feel like there's one that I would use. Like I mix them up and use them as well.
All right, so there's also a lot of questions about ethical. How do we balance the ethical part? And there's sort of two branches from going through these questions. One's the ethical of like how much energy is used,
Yes.
how to be able to maybe reduce that. And the other was the ethics of using AI versus people. So I'll let you choose how you want to go on that one.
Okay. So look, the energy one, I think, this is a tough one because, there's obviously got to be more done around that. But at the moment, being the humans we are, looking for the easy way out, as we always have since day one, I don't, there's a lot of talk around it, but everyone's using it. And so I think we're all kind of as guilty as each other. I think one of the things is we need to have a bit more of a clear idea and a real idea of how much energy is being used. I think it's very hard at the moment for all of us to kind of work out what it all means. And I don't think there's been enough of a job done around sort of talking about, how much is a prompt or how much is doing that deep research, how much does that use? And I think that'd be a great idea to get an idea of, how much we're actually using. Because I actually feel like we're probably using more than they're letting on. And this is where, then it gets into the argument of, well, is this pushing then towards nuclear energy? Because it seems like that's probably the only way we're going to have this world where we can have AI and also energy. Anyway, it's a bigger discussion. But so that's an interesting one on that side. And I just think it needs to be more clearly explained because I feel we probably are using it. And then I guess that's then comes down to a personal choice on how do you feel about this and what do you want to do? The ethical side of using AI. Okay. So this is also an interesting one because I used to sort of think, being from a writing background, is it right to be doing this? As much
It's
as
almost
I love it.
cannibalizing your whole career.
It is indeed. And it is for so many people. But at the same time, then I've had people through, like in my courses, where copywriters going, well, it's got to this point. Why wouldn't I just write it? And I'd say, well, just write it then. But then I've got another person in the session who is a great business person and they've got it all in their head. They just don't know how to get it down on paper or it takes too long. And I'm sure there's a lot of people in here who are like that. So if they're writing it with AI and they get this sort of thing and they're checking it all the facts, they're making sure it's what they want, and they're saying, yeah, this is what I wanted to say, and then they're putting that out. Does it matter that it's AI if they're willing to say this is me, and then it goes out, and then whatever the implications are, they're putting their brand behind it. So look, if you're creating a novel or something, and you're saying, yeah, I created this great novel out of my creative genius, and it's AI, then I think it's a bit different. But for a lot of business things, I don't think we really need to do that. But at the same time, in business, and when I'm running corporate workshops, I think there's this thing where we look at the green section, which is you don't really have to share it and say it was AI. That might be some internal emails and things about non-important stuff. Then you might have a sort of a yellow section, which would be it requires a human to oversee certain things, and that final say has to be from an expert. And that's kind of like that one with that client I was talking about. And then you might have a red zone, which is just AI can't do anything besides some initial research, and then the rest has to be human. So we're still working all that out, but
We
I don't
still
think there's
need
anything
the
wrong.
human part to
Yeah,
manage.
absolutely.
Absolutely.
We have to do that in a lot of those things. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I had a bit of a chuckle. Someone's written, great job on summarizing the questions. Have you got any suggestions on how AI can help in future? Like, that's very funny.
Yeah.
I definitely will be doing because I've still got 120 to get through.
Right. Okay.
I'll get back to you on that one. Okay. Next group is around how to stay on top of AI trends. Obviously, things are
Yeah.
changing so quickly. You learn something and then there's the next thing. Any tips
Yeah.
there?
Look, there are there's some newsletters around. There's one called, the Neuron. I've got one now I'm about to launch on my site. If you want to go to my site, so I've decided I keep getting asked about newsletter about how to keep up, but I think I'm about to kind of launch that. So yeah, you can go and get that on my on my site. But the Neuron's a really good one. What's another one? Trying to think of the others. I've got so many at the moment. Let me see.
Well, here's the thing about
Yeah,
that. When
I'll
you
have a
get the
look.
recording tomorrow on Thursday,
Mm.
people are asking, you won't get a copy of the slides, but you do get a recording and you will have the slides there so you can go back and take a photo or screen grab of anything that you want. But there will also be some information about Simon and his business if you're wanting to get onto that newsletter
Yeah.
and look through that.
I think that's the Neuron's really a Superhuman's another one called Superhuman.
Oh, yes, I've heard of that.
Yeah, they're both really good, and they'll keep you up to date. The other thing you can do, of course, is in ChatGPT, you can,
Yes.
link to the web and say, you can set up a prompt and say, hey, I want to know about the latest AI things happening. Give me the news from these dates onwards, and don't give me anything else. Even say from these publications, this. Link onto the web on ChatGPT. You can do that, and it'll go out and come back with the latest news. So you could just do that yourself every day.
Great.
Yeah.
There's also a couple of comments about the rundown in the chat. So
Oh
maybe have
yes,
a look at
rundown.
that
Yep.
one. Okay, so next questions about legal documents. If you're doing
Okay.
legal documents, which is the way best to
Yeah.
use? And my first thought is none, but
Yeah.
I don't know anything so about this topic.
Yeah. Doing what with legal documents?
Uh,
Creation or analyzing or
some was around setting up founder agreements,
okay.
staff employment agreements.
Yes,
Um,
Gillian. I was about to say that. So, okay, there's two ways you could do that. Gillian's just put in the comments saying Harvey. So, Harvey sits on sort of ChatGPT, and it's a bit like those custom GPTs I did, but it's sort of for the law, for the legal profession. So they've just built this tool which is just focused on, you've got one job, law, 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 law. So if you're doing this stuff, you might want to join up to Harvey, and then they've got a whole lot of tools you can do to actually make sure you get the good information out. There are some things you can, like ChatGPT now, because of this new model, very accurate, with some advanced prompts. If you're very new to AI, then I probably wouldn't, suggest it maybe, but once you know how to prompt and things, and you could set up one of those custom GPTs, which is just to do one thing. And that would be to analyze my legal docs or whatever it was you were trying to do, and it could do that quite well. Obviously, you'd still need to oversee this, but there's some awesome things. But you might want to try Harvey as a first stop.
There are some more specific questions about legal docs, and I feel just not being our area of expertise, we can't really advise on that.
Mm,
There was one question about if it is an AI-generated legal document legally binding. I think anything that's signed can be legally binding,
yeah.
but that is something to definitely not ask and ask a
No,
lawyer.
no, I don't want to take responsibility for that one.
All
Absolutely.
right, so we've got time for one last question, and I don't
Okay.
know if you'll know this one, but there's been some questions about like what are the things to look out for, like costliest mistake in using AI, and you touched on a couple in your slides, but is
Mm.
there anything else that comes to mind? It's just like keep your eyes open for this.
Um, yeah. So costliest mistakes. Is it what the question was? What are the kind of,
Yeah,
yeah. Okay. So
or adapt as you wish.
yeah, yeah, okay. I mean, since seems to have a few for you lawyers on the thing. I mean, you'd be well aware of the lawyer in New York who looking for precedents about the airline accident or airline related thing, and AI came, ChatGPT came up with a whole story of a whole lot of precedents, and then he went to court and used them, and they're all fictional. So I've actually done some things for articles, some research, and it came up with a whole lot of fictional ideas. I think the whole thing around this is that yes, you don't want to be putting anything out there without checking it first with AI. AI is like that mate. Some of you may have. I've definitely got a couple who always know the answer and always back it up with these stats. And you're
And they just
going,
say it confidently, and
I
so you
guess
believe
that's
them.
right. Yeah.
Doesn't
So
make it true.
Yeah.
We all have those friends.
So AI is like that person, and so you need to go and just check on your mate and make sure that they're telling the truth, because they want to come out with confidence and say this. So yeah, a little self-check. Some of those prompts I gave you, some other ones around that. Go and get the sources. Where did you find this? That kind of stuff can make a huge difference. And remember that AI is not ultimately responsible for this, that you are. So you're putting your reputation on the line with all of these tools.
Self-responsibility.
Yeah, exactly.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Simon. Like, I know you could talk about this
Yeah,
forever.
absolutely.
Please, everyone, join us again next week for a session called Nail Your Pricing with Fee from Peach. It is replacing a session that we had previously around sales. So if you have signed up to the one next week already, your registration and links, everything just transfer across. We just have a different presenter, but she'll specifically be looking at how to get your pricing right, because nothing can improve your business and your finances better than actually getting your pricing right. And there'll be an active tool that she'll use through that as well. And we always love your feedback. There's been some great suggestions about what you'd like to see in the chat. But please fill out our feedback form. Cynthia will pop it in the chat again. She'll probably pop it in a few times because we're getting so many thank you messages in the chat. She'll pop the link. We love to get your feedback on what's going to be useful. It was from feedback of our last sessions that said we want to hear more about AI that we managed to get Simon on board for this one. So thank you so much. We appreciate all the comments.
Yeah,
As I
thanks,
said,
everyone.
we've done our best to moderate them today. We have missed a few. We'll get more on top of that for next week. And thank you, Simon. And good luck, everyone, with your AI, and use ethically.
Yeah, thanks, Kate. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks
Good luck.
all. See you next week.